Hello, good morning, good evening, depending on where you are, I guess, and welcome to this first virtual coffee break of Citrix Converge 2020. So, Sunny and I are your facilitators, I guess, today, and we're joined by Jeroen van Rotterdam, Citrix EVP of Engineering. And Jeroen, why don't you just tell us a little bit about what the scope of your job? I mean, what do you do? Do you write code?
I do write code every once in a while, but not that often. In fact, the teams don't like it when I write code anymore. Hi guys, Jeroen. I run 3 buckets within Citrix, all of R&D for all products, all of cloud production systems, and the global security office with the CISO reporting to me. For me. Team size is roughly 2,700 right now. We've got 620 openings, and so we're growing the team to over 3,000, which is roughly 1/3 of Citrix.
Wow. And whereabouts are you located?
You know, when COVID hit, I did move back from Fort Lauderdale to the Netherlands. So I'm actually in The Hague right now.
Okay.
So it's it's actually working out fine doing remote work.
Great.
So I want to remind the people in the audience to go ahead and either raise your hand or type questions into the chat window, or also on Slack, and we'll be monitoring both and asking questions as well.
So, I have a question as we people get revved up. So, and this is something that your colleague PJ ran a whole session on with his reports. You know, this transition from products to services and a platform. I mean, what's your take on this? I guess the opportunity for developers as we open up and create these services and turn Citrix into a platform.
Yeah, there are actually 2 questions here, Pat. So one is, what does it mean if we're moving from on-prem products to cloud services, right? So, and the second is, what about the platform aspiration we have? I think the impact on moving to cloud services is quite dramatic, right? Not only for us, but also for our customers. So the time to value of new innovations is so much different in the cloud, right? So we're heavily investing in continuous delivery, where we want to go from a complete automated check-in of code to delivery in production, within hours. And so the release frequency, the term release is sort of awkward in that world, right? So there is no release anymore. You're doing continuous delivery with feature flags, and you just turn it on whenever you want to. So that we're investing a lot in doing that continuous delivery model, and therefore the innovations are a rolling thunder of innovations rather than releases, right? So that's a big difference. I think the other big difference is us moving into a workspace platform capability, where we're offering capabilities around virtualization, of course, which is our strength, but also offering platform capabilities for non-virtualized workloads, for instance, for SaaS and web traffic. And we see a lot of opportunities to build a secure, productive environment with Citrix Workspace for any type of workload. And you probably see this. You see this 80-20 and reverse 80-20 rule, right? So where 80% of the customers probably need something like a Citrix Workspace application, or 80% of the users need a 80% of the customers need a Citrix Workspace application that is built by Citrix that offers these capabilities. With the ability to do, for instance, micro apps or launching applications, etc., right? So workflows. But then there's the 20% of the customers that probably represent 80% of the users that want to build a tailored experience on top of the platform. And so the larger enterprise customers, they have more demanding requirements, right? And they need a custom experience, etc. And many more integrations as well. And so the platform play is, to cater towards the 20% of the customers, which represents 80% of the users, to build custom solutions on top of our platform.
Right. So it's like one of those, is it a power curve where you have like this long tail, but then you have a real thick chunk at the by the y-axis where, that's where not many of your customers, but lots of your users, and then it goes out into this long tail of...
It's really the enterprise segment, right? So we have roughly 100,000 customers, 65,000 customers are in the enterprise segment. In the 65,000, we have roughly 100 million users.
Right.
And so these are the more demanding environments, not only from customization and end user productivity perspective, but specifically around security. And so what we're trying to do is really accommodate towards better security and better productivity. I sometimes call that breaking the seesaw. So sometimes it's, security goes up, usability goes down, right? So, or the other way around. What we're trying to do is offer an environment where, your security goes up and at the same time your productivity goes up.
Right. And I guess, I previously worked at Salesforce, and you have this great effect of amortizing that security work across your entire customer base. So all of those improvements that your big customers demand also roll out to everybody else.
Yeah, in fact, that's true. And, because we control the workspace, we can offer really advanced capabilities. We've been, patenting a lot of these ideas, right, where, you get a much better experience. But in the meantime, security is actually dramatically improved in the backend.
Okay, well, thank you, Jeroen. And Sunny, do we have a question from the audience?
Yes, so we have one from Ashish. We are a product company right now working from home. What's the best way to manage our servers that are on-prem right now, as there is a Hyper-V server and going to any cloud seems costly to us?
I know a lot of aspects of that question, right? So we actually do quite some analysis of sort of the total cost of ownership of a solution like that. And if you do a pure comparison of, hey, you're running a machine on-prem versus one in the cloud, right? Then the cloud seems to be more expensive. But if you look at Citrix Cloud, we're at a much higher abstraction level, right? We're not talking about running a virtual machine where you run a workload. We're running a total service of Citrix Cloud that offers a service level to customers with a whole bunch of capabilities. And if you really drill down into the side-by-side comparison of the total cost of ownership between the two solutions, whether you manage that all on-prem versus us running that at scale in our cloud, it's actually more attractive towards our cloud, towards Citrix Cloud, in our opinion. And we're happy to sit together with you guys to do an honest, side-by-side comparison and see how that plays out for you as a customer. But in general, that's what we see.
All right.
Here is another question from Mike Kelly. We keep hearing about Citrix's partnership with Google, but can you explain what the future means in regards to that? Secondly, my organization is healthcare, and we use Google Workspace G Suite as our collaboration tool. Being a Citrix shop as well, we have a lot of users that use Citrix with Google Meet. Meet has been a constant challenge for our organization because there is no optimization pack like there is with Teams, Zooms, and WebEx, etc. Do you know of any development being done to create an optimization pack for Google Meet?
All right, so the few questions. Yes, we definitely have a very strategic partnership with Google. We're looking a lot around their motions around, for instance, Chromebooks as the endpoint. We're obviously looking at Google Cloud, where they can run workloads, right? So, and give customers choice of where they want to run their workloads as well. We do have a roadmap around the Google Productivity Suite and integrate that and optimize that for the workspace. I don't know out of my head where Meet is in that roadmap. I can take it offline. Can you guys take a note, Sonny, that we take it offline and get back to you on this specific roadmap item?
Okay, sounds good. I have one more question from Nicholas Priestman. I'm one of the 20%. Do you have plans to integrate natively with Azure at AWS? We still need NetScalers, but being able to consume them directly in, for example, ARM templates would make deployment easier.
Yeah, so in general, yes. What we're investing heavily on the networking side is a couple of things. So one is ADM as a service, right? So which is our networking control plane to manage all sorts of Citrix networking instances in any of the clouds. Also investing in ADC as a service, where the data plane is managed in any of the clouds, whether that's customer subscription or our cloud service. So in general, we're doing that across all clouds. So we're trying to be Switzerland when it comes to any of these clouds, and offer that service as a service across all of them. Again, that gives customers a lot of leverage and choice to see where they want to run these workloads. And for the networking side, we're also doing this across all of the form factors. As you guys know, ADM, it can manage hardware boxes up to like a CPX, right? So which is a container form factor. We continue to invest in all the form factors and actually shrink. We did a lot of effort to shrink the size of a CPX instance to be competitive with more, open source like network components. And we think we have a really good value prop with that, right? So because you have a cloud control plane that crosses all of this hybrid cloud infrastructure, whether it's your on-prem environment or the cloud in any form factor, like VPX or a CPX. And so you have a single point of management, but you can choose your form factor and the load you want to have on that form factor while giving a much better throughput than competing products.
Okay.
I have a question. I have a raised hand by Michael Shapansky. I will unmute you, Michael, and then see what you got to say. All right, you should be live, Michael.
Michael, you might have to click a box saying that...
Yes, hopefully you hear me now.
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Ah, wonderful. Great. I'd like to speak to you and not type my question. So it's a most strategic question. You were talking about that micro app things and tailoring applications and other things that are happening in the Citrix universe more than the former Xen desktop, Xen app design. So do you see a shift of Citrix strategy more in that Devops strategy of what we deliver to the end user? And will that not bring you into competitor to Google and AWS and others? And what's the Citrix strategy for long-term or mid-term on that idea?
Okay, so good question. Yes, we're not just shifting, we're doing additional investments beyond virtualization. So I mentioned that in the intro that my team is growing rapidly, right? So just to put it in perspective, 2 years ago, my team had 2,000 developers. 6 months from now, there will be 3,000 developers. So that's a dramatic growth of our pure R&D because we're broadening our scope to invest beyond virtualization into something like the workspace, platform, and micro apps, etc. We do get into a little bit into the DevOps space, but we're more focused on sort of the citizen developer with our low-code or no-code platform that we acquired from Sofo, that we deeply integrated in the workspace in the last 2 years. And so we're really more in the no-code space rather than in the pure developer space, but with the ability to do a full development lifecycle for things like micro apps. And the target there is always like, what set of use cases do you box you in, right? So that are really optimized for micro apps. We think there's a whole bunch of use cases that are extremely powerful in a micro app platform, that is sort of meeting the majority of the users' demands. And so it's not really a direct competition with Google and the pure play coding efforts. It is the citizen developer set of use cases that we're shooting for around data and content, etc.
All right. Okay. Well, next question. Oh, did that? I'm sorry, Michael. Did that answer your question? I guess it did.
Yes. Wonderful. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for stepping up. Okay. So next question is from Marco Stalder via the question panel. Can you talk a bit more about the outcome of the closer Microsoft and Citrix partnership from a technical perspective? For example, Teams integration into Workspace.
Yeah, so obviously we have a very strong partnership with Microsoft. I would say it has never been this strong. We have executive sponsorship at the absolute highest level within Microsoft to oversee this. We're definitely looking at sort of key pillars like Teams, right, and optimizing Teams for the workspace. Also the other way around, where we're surfacing micro app capabilities within Microsoft Teams. This is a bi-directional partnership. One of the interesting part about a platform is that you're not per se have to be the front end for the end user. Again, it comes down to this 20% of the customers that have the more higher demands and the large volume of users. They might pick their own front end, like a Teams or Slack or whatever, right? And we need to be able to integrate into those environments. There's also a strong partnership on the commercial side as well as WVD. So, how is Citrix and WVD optimized together? Where the combination is much stronger than just WVD, for instance. And then there's huge commercial collaboration going on between the two companies as well, where we jointly, try to help customers get the best experience in the workspace.
All right. And a follow-up from Marco. There are many connectors currently for the Citrix Cloud. Some are based on Windows, some are appliances. Would be interesting to see some of them based on a container solution.
Yeah, so and we actually have an initiative going on. It's called the Unified Container Architecture, where we're trying to consolidate all containers into a single, all the connectors, Unified Connector Architecture, all connectors into a single container-based architecture where each of the connectors are running as a container. Because we feel that the architecture has too many connectors, and we're trying to simplify the on-prem footprint for customers that way, and then have that being managed from the cloud as well, so that you get auto updates and likes. So that's actually, we started this initiative a couple of years ago. It's starting to see the daylight now, where the first couple of connectors are running as a container within that one Kubernetes environment. And so you can expect more and more connectors pop up that are running as a container in a single Kubernetes environment on-prem.
Okay, very cool. And just like to remind people, you can raise your hand if you'd like to ask your question verbally. Otherwise, type them into the questions box. So, Sunny, what's the next question there?
We got one from Kapil Singh. Any plans to increase SLA availability of Citrix Cloud services? Few of the customers have asked on higher SLAs as contractual agreements.
Yeah, we are going to up the SLA to 3 nines. We have an internal SLO of 3.5 nines. And so what we're doing is we're always internally staying ahead of the contractual target. And so, yes, we're going from 2.5 nines to 3 nines contractual obligation, from 3 nines to 3.5 nines internal service level objective. and we're going to keep going with improving that over time. We're investing a lot in resiliency. We think it's super important for Citrix Cloud to up the targets over time, to much higher availability numbers. By the way, availability is not the only thing we're investing in when it comes to the resiliency bucket, right? So we're also investing in things like reducing the blast radius, redundancy of services, global failover of services. We're investing in a customer portal, because right now, if you look at the availability status page, right, on status.cloud.com, you get a single experience for all customers, but you actually cannot see how a downtime is impacting you. And so we're investing in a more custom portal where you as a customer can see how you are impacted and which users are impacted, if at all, for your instance for your tenant. So there's a whole bunch of efforts going on around the big resiliency bucket, as we call it.
Right. Okay, so for anybody that joined late, you can ask questions by raising your hand, in which case I will open your mic for you to ask your question directly, or type them into the question panel. And while we wait for people to do that, we were talking earlier on, Jeroen, about this transition from on-premise products to cloud services, and you were talking about this, this 20% of customers that have 80% of the users and so on. If we look at the opportunity for partners in this world of services, it seems like there's a real opportunity there for partners with specific domain knowledge to create something new from the services that we provide.
Yeah, I think it's a good question, Pat. It's a dramatic difference in my opinion, right? So if you are a partner and you go from managing a Citrix environment, a virtualization environment, to building custom solutions on top of the platform for end users, that's a dramatic shift in terms of the type of effort you're doing, or I would say that the type of value you're adding to the customer. And with that, the dollar amount of consulting services from partners is going up dramatically as well. And both TJ and I come from a platform world where we've seen this. It's not uncommon in the enterprise space that the consulting services far exceed sort of the subscription dollar amounts, where the partner is making more money than Citrix by comparison, right? That would not surprise me if that happens. And I think, partners that jump on top of that are, fast movers into offering these type of services on the platform can build interesting businesses, in my opinion.
Yeah, I can see that. We know the virtualization and the networking inside out, and partners that have specific expertise in, say, finance or healthcare can use those services to create a solution for that vertical where they combine their domain knowledge with our services.
Yeah, I think there are a few types of partners that have an opportunity here. So one is ISVs that build shrink wrap solutions on top of the platform, as you refer to. I think system integrators have a huge opportunity as well to do custom solutions on top of the platform that are customer specific. And then you have maybe technology partners that do integrations on the back end to backend systems and resell them. So there are lots of opportunities here for the partner ecosystem. And it's actually important for us to build out the partner ecosystem. This is why we are having Converge. And we really are investing in building the developer community, the ecosystem of partners, to stimulate them to start building stuff on top of our platform.
Yep. That's why I've spent the past 3 months doing nothing else. Okay, and so we've got about 5 minutes left. If you have a question to ask, please go ahead and ask it now. Oh, there's one from Varun. Apologies if I'm mispronouncing your name. So, the question is, I guess, is there a strategy to push technical professionals and architects, especially in learning or certifications front? So I guess, Varun, what you're asking is, is there going to be some push on the learning and certification front that goes kind of hand in hand with this motion that we've just been talking about?
Yeah, I think that's a very natural progression. That both PJ and I have done that in our previous jobs. Right? When you build out that ecosystem of partners and developers, that you actually certify them, that you also certify solutions on top of that, so that customers know who to reach out for, right? And you get sort of this flywheel effect of the community. I think that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, and not wanting to like write any checks that, well, Sonny and I'll have to cash them later, but that's exactly what we're thinking about from the point of view of the community, that it being almost like a storefront for people with their reputation and their certifications, so you can have a page there that brings all that together. Your view, your exposure in the Citrix community. Okay, and yeah, housekeeping question from Komal Bardwaj. Komal missed the initial 15 minutes of the chat. Can I get the recording later? Yes, we are recording this, and Sonny will work his video magic and cut it together into a beautiful form, and we will release it sometime, I guess, in the next few days. Oh, and a rush of questions towards the end. Okay, so let's see if we can get through these.
I like this one from Nick,
actually. The next one?
I like this one from Nick. Jeroen, does it make you a little bit proud that 10% of the Converge sessions are presented by Dutch presenters?
I wasn't aware of that, but it's 80% to less, right? So I would rather see 90%. But yeah, it's good that we see 10%, but let's keep it growing. Those sessions must be brutal.
I think Eltio is presenting about half of that 10%. It seems like he's Okay, another quick one. We've got about 2 minutes, so I'm afraid this will have to be the last one. While WSI, Workspace with Intelligence, is an interesting proposition for our partners to pick app modernization as additional projects, it's very important to understand the key areas to identify needs to develop any micro app. While for CVAD we have multiple tools like SysTrack, etc. to do assessment, analysis, and identify potential use cases, do we have anything with other partners going on to have some tool-based discovery to identify micro app use cases? That's from Kapil Singh.
That's a good question. I don't think we have a forum yet where we debate certain use cases that we see pop up, right? Pat, Sonny, maybe you should take that back to the team to see whether we can facilitate that. That's part of the community as well, that you exchange each type of ideas if people are willing to do that. No, I'm not aware of it. You?
Actually, I do know that we have. That's a specific area we have been looking at. There's nothing I can talk about publicly right now, but definitely watch this space. So with that, I will thank you, Jeroen, so much for your time. I know you are one of the busiest people in Citrix, so we've been very privileged to have a half hour from you. And thank you to our audience for the awesome questions and your engagement.
So we do have 3 winners out of the audience that participated. Check in the chat.
Okay.
Yes, and then we will get the recordings out to you all pretty soon once they're processed. So thanks again.
You're getting a prize if you're attending. Is that?
Well, you get randomly drawn, I think. So Michael Shapansky, Mike Kelly, and Bobby. Perfect. All right.
Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Good seeing you.
Thanks
guys
a
up
lot.
next time.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.